Hey everyone, and welcome back to How to Hub. Before we dive in, I've got to ask you something. What if I told you that innocent-looking flower pots sitting in your garden could actually be hiding the power to melt metal in seconds? Sounds impossible, right? Well, stick around because today I'm going to show you exactly how to build your very own disguised backyard foundry that's powerful enough to liquefy scrap metal, yet stylish enough to double as home decor. Trust me, this is one project you absolutely don't want to miss. Here's the thing, the appearances can be incredibly deceiving. That decorative houseplant you're looking at right now? It's actually a cleverly disguised metal melting furnace that I built using nothing more than sand and plaster. And the best part? You can build one too for less than 20 bucks. Let me walk you through exactly how this works. We're going to create a simple backyard foundry using equal parts sand and plaster of Paris, both of which you can grab from your local hardware store. You'll also need a 10-quart steel bucket, and honestly, I'd recommend laying down a tablecloth because things are definitely going to get a bit messy. Now, I discovered that a smaller 2.5-quart bucket works perfectly for measuring our ingredients, but it's also going to serve a much more important purpose that I'll show you in just a moment. Here's the recipe I've perfected for this makeshift refractory lining. You'll need 1 3/4 buckets of plaster of Paris, that's about 21 cups. Then the same amount of sand, another 21 cups. Finally, add 1 1/4 buckets of water, which comes out to about 15 cups. Now here's where things get interesting. The moment that water hits the dry mixture, you're on the clock. You've got maybe 15 minutes before everything hardens up completely, so we need to move fast. Start mixing everything together immediately, and make sure you get all that dry powder wet. Work out any lumps as quickly as you can. After a couple minutes of solid mixing, your mixture should look fairly runny and be roughly the same color throughout. Once you're confident there aren't any powder clumps left, your refractory mix is ready to go. Carefully pour this into your steel bucket as slowly as possible. We want to minimize any splattering. You should have just enough to fill the bucket about 3 inches from the top. Now here's where that smaller bucket comes back into play. I filled mine with water to give it some weight, but you could use sand or rocks just as easily. When you push this bucket into the center of our mixture, watch what happens. The mixture rises up around it, but it doesn't spill over. You can see the mix is already starting to firm up, so work the bucket up and down a few times to help level everything out. Then just hold it steady for 2 to 3 minutes. This gives the plaster just enough time to harden so the bucket stays exactly where we want it, even when we let go. While we're waiting for everything to cure, which takes about an hour, let me show you how to turn an old steel fire extinguisher into the perfect crucible. You can test if it's steel by holding a magnet to it. If it sticks, you're good to go. Magnets won't stick to aluminum. After depressurizing the tank and removing the valve, I cut it in half with a hacksaw in under a minute. The bottom section gives us a perfect steel cup that's 3 inches in diameter and 5 inches tall, absolutely ideal for our foundry. Once your plaster is set, dump out the water from that center bucket. Use some channel locks to grip one edge and pull gently toward the center. Give it a twist with both hands, and the whole bucket should pop loose and pull right out. What you're left with is this amazingly smooth surface that gives our homemade foundry a surprisingly professional appearance. We're missing just 2 features: an air supply port and a lid. For the air port, I found that a 1 3/8 inch hole saw works perfectly for accommodating 1-inch steel tubing. Center your cut with the top line of the bucket and carefully work through the metal wall. Once you're through the metal, it's easy to angle down about 30 degrees because the plaster cuts like butter when it's not fully cured. This creates a tight, downward-sloping hole that positions the blower tube a few inches up from the bottom. This placement is crucial. If a crucible ever fails and dumps molten metal, it stays contained in the foundry instead of flowing dangerously out through the pipe. The blower tube itself is straightforward to make. Start with a 1-inch steel pipe for the business end that'll sit next to the hot coals. You'll also need a 1-inch PVC coupling and some PVC pipe. The threaded end screws onto the steel pipe, and the slip adapter simply pushes onto the PVC tube. For the lid, I used a couple of 4-inch U-bolts standing upright in a 5-quart bucket, filled with a half measure of our insulating mix. That's 10 cups plaster, 10 cups sand, and 7 cups water. After an hour, the whole thing pops free, giving us a perfect custom lid. Don't forget to add a vent hole for pressure relief. You can form one during casting or drill it afterward with a 3-inch hole saw. What you end up with looks like a thick white donut that works great for venting pressure and even allows you to melt metal without removing the lid entirely. I decided to give mine a few coats of burnished amber spray paint to make it more attractive. When fired up, this little foundry gets incredibly hot inside, hot enough to melt aluminum cans in seconds and fill a crucible with liquid metal. The beauty of this design is its versatility. When you're not melting scrap metal, just drop in a plant and instantly transform it into fashionable home decor. You could even use it as a blacksmithing forge or summer barbecue since it runs on charcoal briquettes. So there you have it, how to build a mini metal foundry using commonly available materials. It's powerful enough to melt metal in seconds, but attractive enough to keep around as decoration. What did you think of this project? I'd love to hear about your own foundry builds in the comments below. If this video helped you out, smash that like button to let me know, and don't forget to subscribe to HowToHub for more incredible DIY projects that'll blow your mind. Hit that notification bell too so you never miss our latest uploads. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.